A few days ago, the nation witnessed an explosive face-off between Karoline Leavitt, the bold new White House press secretary, and Whoopi Goldberg.
Think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
The reigning voice of daytime liberal outrage. But what you didn't see were the moments that followed the gasps, the backlash, the raw reactions that sent shockwaves across media platforms. Karoline didn't just show up to play, she showed up to dominate. And dominate she did, delivering blow after blow of pure logic, calm confidence, and fearless truth-telling. While Whoopi sat stunned, Karoline stayed steady, delivering one line that sent chills through the studio lights. And with that, she shattered the carefully crafted media narrative that working mothers couldn't lead boldly on a national stage. The woke outrage brigade didn't know what hit them. The very people who chant, "Women can do it all," were suddenly screaming that Karoline should be at home, baking cookies, simply because she made Whoopi look like a deer caught in headlights. How ironic the same crowd that cheers female empowerment turned vicious the moment Karoline proved she could outsmart them on air and still be home in time to kiss her baby goodnight.
Stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up.
They didn't challenge her points. They didn't argue her facts. No, they went after her motherhood as if that was a weakness instead of her greatest strength. Disgraceful. These are the same voices who demand we trust women, unless, of course, that woman is a conservative mother who dares to speak her mind with clarity and grace. Then she becomes the enemy. Karoline's answer to the shaming was stunningly powerful. "Yes," she said, "it's hard. But I'm doing this for my son and for all children."
Let me explain something to you, because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
And the room fell silent because they knew she meant every word. She didn't flinch, didn't stutter. She stood tall and reminded the world that motherhood is not a hindrance to leadership. It's the fuel behind it. What a moment! Her strength was unmatched. And the crowd, even those who disagreed with her, couldn't help but respect her composure and authenticity. She wasn't performing, she was living her truth. And when Karoline explained that her work was temporary, that the chaos would pass, and that she'd return to full-time mom life when her duty was done, it felt like a masterclass in both humility and power. She said what so many mothers feel but are afraid to admit, that it's okay to want both family and career, and that wanting both doesn't make you any less of a mother. Her words struck a nerve. And then, with a calm that cut deeper than any insult, she said she believed being a good mom and a good professional are not mutually exclusive. What a statement! What a standard! Suddenly, the narrative began to crack. The media couldn't spin it fast enough. Viewers saw the hypocrisy, the desperation, and the double standards laid bare on national television. Karoline didn't just challenge the view, she exposed them. Their arguments collapsed under the weight of their own contradictions, and it was Karoline who emerged unscathed. Her message was simple. Stop shaming mothers who think differently. Stop mocking women who don't toe the progressive line. And above all, stop pretending your feminism is for all women when it clearly isn't. She called out the doublespeak, the performative empowerment, the selective outrage, and did it all with the poise of someone twice her age and 10 times as experienced.
Stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up.
While Whoopi Goldberg tried to regain control, Karoline calmly reminded everyone that being a mother is a source of strength, not a political liability. What could they even say to that? And just when the crowd thought she might soften, Karoline hit them with another truth bomb. She said, "Not every woman is cut out for both, and that's okay." She spoke the forbidden truth. The left didn't know what to do. They froze. Because Karoline wasn't trying to be popular, she was trying to be honest. And that honesty was their kryptonite. Her respect for stay-at-home moms, her support for working moms, Her rejection of shame from either side, it was a perfectly balanced attack against hypocrisy. And then came the conspiracy. Whoopi and her co-hosts tried to flip the script with a wild accusation that Elon Musk might be plotting to harm Trump. Yes, you read that right. What on earth were they thinking?
Think how ironic that Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and the rest of the ladies on The View spend their time calling Republicans the conspiracy theorists, but they have been wrong about everything they have said over the last couple of years.
The same women who cry foul when they're called conspiracy theorists suddenly dove headfirst into one of the dumbest theories the internet has ever heard. Pushing Trump down the stairs? From Elon Musk? That's not just ridiculous, it's straight up cartoonish. Even satire couldn't keep up with the nonsense coming from their mouths. And instead of shutting it down, Whoopi leaned into the fantasy. Like a director of her own delusions, she doubled down on the madness, dragging her audience with her.
I respect everything everyone is saying to me, and I don't want to fake apologize. I'm very upset about that people are misunderstood what I was saying. It's not good for anyone, and it's not good for poor folks. It is not good for y'all because you become slave fodder.
That's when Karoline stepped in again. With clarity and control, she shot it down without even raising her voice. Absolutely not, she said. Let me be unequivocally clear. And just like that, the fairy tale ended. The audience blinked. Viewers at home stared. Did Whoopi really just accuse a billionaire of planning a stair ambush? Yes, and it backfired big time. And Karoline? She didn't gloat. She didn't mock. She simply dismantled the madness with calm logic. She made it clear that the true conspiracy was the media's attempt to distract from real issues. With one sentence, she reminded everyone who the grown-up in the room was. And Whoopi? She was left sputtering, reeling from the verbal checkmate. The internet exploded. Hashtags flew, comment sections flooded, and once again, Karoline Leavitt proved that facts, family, and fortitude beat out phony outrage every single time. Whoopi didn't stop. Oh no! Cornered and embarrassed, she reached for one last insult. But instead of logic or facts, she reached for something even lower. She spat. Yes, on live television, she literally spat after mentioning Trump's name. It was like watching a frustrated cartoon villain meltdown in real time. A grown woman reduced to playground antics, right in front of millions of viewers. The silence that followed was deafening. That wasn't sass. That wasn't wit. That was desperation in motion. And Karoline? She didn't even blink. She responded with surgical precision.
Divisive and disgusting speech that any president, certainly in my lifetime, has ever given. He essentially waged war on half of the country by saying that we are all a threat to democracy because we believe in putting America first. It's not radical to want to put your country and your own people first. It's not radical to want to have a strong border, a strong military, and to unleash the might of your own economy, not economies around the world. We have seen cultural Marxism trickling its way through every institution in this country. The public school system, the higher education university system, Hollywood, big tech, the corrupt mainstream media that I fought against in President Trump's White House are indoctrinating my generation of Americans into hating our country, hating one another based on race and gender and sex and all of this other BS, quite frankly.
The crowd erupted, not in applause for Whoopi, but in disbelief that she had stooped so low, and in awe of Karoline's flawless takedown. It wasn't a debate anymore, it was a dismantling. Karoline called it out directly. This is what passes for debate now, she scoffed. When you can't win on facts, you spit? The media couldn't hide this one. The clips went viral before the commercial break even started.
Who could not even bring herself to say Trump's name without spitting. Gross.
Joe Biden knows how to do this.
Yes.
He knows how to do this. He's quite good at this. Trump.
Yeah.
He tends to just...
But can I mention one thing?
They're so bitter, broken and miserable. Not sure why that makes me smile, but it does.
And while Whoopi sulked, Karoline soared. She wasn't just defending her views, she was exposing the crumbling moral authority of daytime television's loudest voices. She pointed out the obvious hypocrisy. These are the same women preaching civility and respect, just moments before behaving like a bitter panel of reality TV villains. By the end of the broadcast, Karoline had taken the high road, while Whoopi and her crew were stuck in the gutter, clutching at straws and empty outrage. The backlash was instant. Social media was flooded with viewers slamming Whoopi's behavior. One commenter wrote, "She literally spat on half of America," and another added, "This isn't a talk show, it's a tantrum." Some speculated that Whoopi was faking the drama to boost ratings. One user joked, "They probably pay her extra to act like that. It's the only way they can stay relevant." Karoline didn't need cheap theatrics. She relied on facts, poise, and moral clarity. She didn't yell, didn't pout. She let the truth do the heavy lifting, and it was powerful. But that wasn't all. Karoline was then asked how she handles all the pressure, how she manages to speak so quickly, confidently, and without needing notes like her predecessor. Her answer? Pure gold. She said she tried the giant briefing binder, but it was too clunky and too scripted. So she tossed it aside and said, "I just speak from the mind and from the heart." That honesty hit differently. No rehearsed lines, no filtered responses, just raw, unscripted leadership. A press secretary who actually knows what she's talking about without cue cards? Unheard of. And just like that, Karoline exposed another layer of truth.
Reporting out there that is putting the onus on this White House for the increased cost of eggs. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country. We also have seen the cost of everything, not just eggs. Bacon, groceries, gasoline have increased because of the inflationary policies of the last administration. As far as the egg shortage, what's also contributing to that is that the Biden administration and the Department of Agriculture directed the mass killing of more than 100 million chickens, which has led to a lack of chicken supply in this country, therefore a lack of egg supply, which is leading to the shortage.
While her critics are reading from scripts, she's speaking from her soul. No wonder they can't keep up. Her opponents need focus groups and PR advisors. Karoline needs none of that. Her preparation comes from doing the work, not faking the optics. She doesn't just sound sharp, she is sharp. And she's winning battles before her critics even know they've started. While the press tries to trap her with gotcha questions, she calmly dismantles their narratives with bulletproof clarity. It's a masterclass in public communication. Then came the moment that had reporters shaking in their loafers. A legacy journalist tried to correct Karoline over fraud statistics, $71 billion in fraud, to be exact. But instead of focusing on the crime, the journalist nitpicked the years the fraud occurred. Yes, they were more concerned with 2015 to 2022 than with the fact that tens of billions were lost. Karoline stared him down and said, "So are you defending $71 billion in fraud?" Boom! Just like that, the narrative flipped, and the reporter was left stuttering. She exposed what so many Americans already feel, that the media cares more about defending bureaucracy than protecting taxpayers.
Everyone had something to say, but no one said, "Oh, well, how you doing?"
Yeah.
How you doing? Because it involves so many other things, and I think that it is a matter of how we treat ourselves.
While they fuss over technicalities, Karoline is asking the real questions. Why is so much money disappearing? And why is no one being held accountable? She made it clear she won't be bullied, silenced, or distracted. Not by reporters, not by talk show hosts, and certainly not by left-wing activists pretending to be journalists. And then she dropped the line that echoed across newsrooms everywhere. "We will not be deterred from exposing the truth, not by you and not by the press." That statement sent chills. It wasn't just defiance, it was a declaration. A promise that she wouldn't back down, no matter how hard they tried to twist her words. And twist they did. Every time she spoke, someone tried to spin it, twist it, distort it. But every time, she stayed 3 steps ahead.
Stating facts that your colleagues have stated in the past.
Okay,
now, as
I'm
for
sorry,
this
guys.
debate,
We're going to come back out to the panel. Karoline, thank you very much for your time.
These women are completely out of touch with reality. And you're right, ABC should wake up.
That's when she revealed something else off the record. Even the mainstream media was thanking her for being accessible, prepared, and honest. Yes, the very same press that slammed her on camera was secretly praising her behind the scenes. "They come into my office," she said, "and they admit it, even the Trump haters." So, let's get this straight. Public enemies on camera, grateful guests off camera. It was the media's worst-kept secret, and Karoline exposed it in one elegant breath. She wasn't just holding her ground, she was pulling the curtain back on the entire machine. She showed us that their outrage is an act. Their resistance is rehearsed. By the time she finished that interview, one thing was crystal clear. Karoline Leavitt isn't just surviving the storm. She is the storm. The media wasn't ready for someone like Karoline Leavitt. Young, sharp, fearless, and completely immune to their games. She didn't need their approval. She bulldozed straight through their nonsense with confidence and class. And just when they thought they could pin her down, she reminded them she'd already run for Congress. That's right, before stepping into the White House, she'd already survived the fire of electoral politics. She didn't ride into power on privilege, she earned it. She crushed her Republican primary like a political steamroller, leaving even Trump administration veterans in the dust. Sure, she eventually lost to Democrat Chris Pappas in the general election, but not without shaking the establishment to its core. She made them sweat, and that kind of impact doesn't fade. That campaign wasn't a stepping stone, it was her training ground. The voters saw grit, heart, and resilience, and now the nation is watching that same fire turn into unstoppable momentum.